So what are we doing today? Continuing our chat about quadratics. So far we saw a quadratic is a function where the highest power is a 2. We've done 2 lessons. Our first lesson was graphing them. Our second lesson was writing equations from data, like giving you a point and a vertex. That was last time. That one was a little hard because we threw a word problem in at the end. Today we're going to look at solving equations. So we'll jump right in here. I've got 3 problems that we'll work through. All right. So the way that solving works, guys, is the way I've got it set up here. Anyway, I've got your quadratic function here. It's in vertex form. I'm asking you to solve for x if y equals 3. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to replace the y with 3. So 3 we're replacing the y, keep that in mind. We're replacing the y, keep that in mind, not the x. All right, so how do you do this? Well, you want to start by getting rid of the outside numbers first. So what do I mean by outside numbers? The numbers that are not in the parentheses. So, and I'm only talking, don't draw this line, but I'm only talking about this side of the equation here right now. What numbers are not inside the parentheses?
9.
The 9. And what else? What else is not in the parentheses? The 9?
3.
The 3, okay. Now, this 3 is being subtracted, right? So we want to do the opposite to get rid of it, which is add. Yeah, and the 3 here is multiplying, so we want to get rid of it by doing the opposite, which is divide. So that's what we're going to do first. We're going to start by adding or subtracting, depending on the problem. On this one, it's adding and then dividing. So that'll be our first 2 steps. So let's do that. So step 1, add or subtract is first. Next, we want to get rid of that 3 on the outside, so we're going to divide both sides by 3. All right. So what's next? Well, the next thing we want to do is we want to get rid of this second power here. And the way that we get rid of that second power is by square rooting both sides. So I'll just put this. And when you do that, you get a plus and a minus. Just keep that in mind. So let me show you what it looks like first, and I'll explain why it works out that way. So square root both sides. This cancels this. The square root of 4 is 2. And you get a plus and a minus. Why? Okay, good question. So why do we get a plus and a minus? Well, if I told you guys, don't write this, but just for explanation purposes, if I told you that x squared is equal to 9, what number to the second power makes 9? 3. Yeah. There's 2 answers, because negative 3 will also do it. And so in other words, when you take the square root of this, it'll tell you the number, but you have to just remember it could be positive or negative. What is that, like, weird sound in the back? I'm hearing like a hissing sound. You guys hear that? No? Huh. What were you saying? I thought you had a question. Okay. I'm hearing all kinds of things today. All right. So step 1, get rid of the numbers outside the square root first. Step 2, take a square root on both sides and then make one plus and minus. All right, now since we have a plus and a minus, what we're going to do is we're going to write two equations. So I'm going to do x minus 4 is equal to a positive 2, and x minus 4 is equal to a negative 2. And then we're going to solve. So here we'll add 4 on both sides. All right. So there's your process there. We're just trying to solve for x. That's it. Get rid of outside numbers. Take a square root. Don't forget your plus and minus. Step 3. Write two equations and solve.
Oh wait, I think you did that too. Oh, the video? It's not. You have all your. No, I'm going.
Okay. Go ahead and do a second one here. Okay. I'm going to have you guys help me out this time a little bit. Did you hear a knock at the door? Okay, I'm hearing all kinds of weird stuff. Schizophrenia. All right. Hi. You know, that might be for Miss Chu. Or Miss, let me take a look at it. It says BC and I teach AB. Let me take a quick look at it.
Your name on the box.
It does.
Jeff wrote on it, so. I'll call it a delivery sheet.
That's okay. I just want to make sure I work hard. I mean, I can take it over too. So. Yeah, this is BC. So, just so you know, it's going to go to Miss Chu. She's actually the lady directly across from you.
I get directly across?
Yeah. If you want to take it, you can. If you want me to, I will.
No big deal.
Thank you, sir. All right. So let's begin here. Aaliyah, what goes here?
There goes 18.
Good. That's right. So it says here y equals 18, so that's what you're going to plug in for y. All right, next I'm going to ask, all right, so Vidal, you get kind of a tougher question because one we haven't seen yet. Well, actually, no, I'm going to give you an easier one because I need to ask this first. What number is outside the parentheses you want to get rid of? Yeah, okay, so now I'm going to ask Michelle the harder question then. Michelle, how do you get rid of the half? You could divide by a half. You could. Now, dividing by fractions is tricky. There's another way to do it. Oh, yes, right here. And you multiply by the denominator. So that's how I would recommend getting rid of that one is I'd multiply both sides by 2. Because when you do that, you have 2 over 2, which is just 1, and they cancel out. But technically what you said, Michelle, is true. You can divide, but most people would kind of struggle to divide by a fraction, and second of all, it's more work. So it's just easier to multiply by the denominator. All right. Let me ask David. That's the end of step 1. So what do I do now? Step 1's done. Yeah, so you're looking at the right thing, right? So what's that little guy? What's that little symbol there? So there's a plus and minus, and after that, that's a square root. So that's telling us to take a square root on both sides, like this. And you're right, we do the plus and the minus. Now, why do we take the square root? Because this cancels this, and now we don't have that little 2 anymore. And what is the square root of 36, you guys? So right now I'm giving you easy ones you could do in your head. We'll show you some problems later on today where they're not so nice like that, but this first set will be nice ones like that. All right, so that's the end of step 2. Adriana, what's next? Good. So we're going to have x plus 5 equals 6, and x plus 5 also equals a negative 6, and then we just solve both of those. So this one gives me 1. This one gives me a negative 11. I think we could probably skip number 3. I don't know. It just looks. I don't think it would be challenging. I think we've got the idea here. Huh? For you, anything. All right, so let's go ahead and do number 3, just in case. Maybe somebody wants to see what's up. So I'll let you guys just shout out to me here this time. What goes here? Negative 4. What do I do next? Get rid of them outside numbers. So what do I do first to get rid of the outside numbers? Add the 6. So if you can, addition or subtraction comes first. And we can this time. Now what? Not yet. Divide by 2. So I want to get rid of that 2 first. Now what? Now you do the square root. Yeah. What would the final answer be? Plus and minus 1. Square root of 1 is 1. So, there you guys go. All right, so there's a student practice provided for you guys, as usual. See what you guys can knock out there in the time that we got. I'll give you guys a little bit of time.
On number 3, do you times it by negative 2?
Yeah. All right, guys, so the only trickier thing that I think that happened on number 3 was after you subtract the 5, you would multiply by a negative 2 because that gets rid of the negative and the 2. So just heads up on that one. But like we said, the answers to these were, for this one it was 0 and 2. This one was negative 3 and negative 7. And this one was plus and minus 4. So, all right, let's go ahead and move on to example 2. So now the purpose of these ones is to show you sometimes the square root part doesn't turn out nice. You have to work for it a little bit. So we get to review square roots a little bit. So here we go. 2x plus 2 squared minus 10 equals what? 80. So let's put that. So this is for number 1. So we replace the y with the number they give us. It's 80. Next, we're going to add. Nothing new so far. Next, we do what? Thank you. $90 divided by 2?
45.
Nice. And what's next? Okay, so now this is where things are going to get interesting. So the square root cancels out the 2. We don't want to forget our plus and minus, of course. Now this is where we have to think a little bit. There's no nice square root of 45. There's no nice square root of 45. So we have to do the old breaking it down, taking out the pair thing. Hate is such a strong word. I mean,
Okay, well, I really hate doing this because I.
What?
Yes.
Not just a strong dislike? Well, I just painted it white. All right, so here we go. 45, let's break it down. What times what makes 45?
9 times 5.
Okay. And 9 can be?
3.
And these are all prime now. 3 doesn't break down, and 5 doesn't break down. So I've got this thing as broken down, can be broken down. So there's 2 3s and a 5. And we're going to take out anything that has a pair. So I've got a pair here. So you can put a 3 on the outside and cross off the pair. What? Oh, the turtle method? You want me to say the turtle method again?
Oh, no, but.
You do. You love the turtle story. When a mommy turtle and a daddy turtle love each other very much, they have a baby turtle that looks just like them, and then they abandon the child. All right. Now I'm going to replace this 45 then with 3 square root 5. Well, not quite, but we're almost there. All right, so all right, so after you do your square root, you're going to do the same thing we did before. You're going to write 2 equations. But something unpredictable or maybe unexpected will happen here that I want you guys to make sure you catch. We're going to subtract both sides by 2. But here's where things get a little bit weird. You probably would think 3 take away 2 is 1, and then you got your answer. But that's not how it works. This 3 is being multiplied by a square root, and you can't combine them. So you have to write it as 2 separate numbers. Let me show you. So we have a negative 2 and a positive 3 square root of 5. You cannot combine those together. You have to leave them separate. Okay, so that's the weird thing about these ones. Right? So on this one, same thing. We're going to subtract the 2, but once again, you can't combine those. So that's going to be negative 2 minus 3 square root 5. All right, so you have to leave them separate. You can't combine them because that's a square root. Now, if you want to, maybe if you want to see why that is, you know, if let me say I had this, right? Let's say I had 2 plus 3 square root of 4. Don't write this, just watch. I want to show you why you're not allowed to do that. Let's pretend that you thought it was okay to add those together, and you got 5 square root of 4. Well, what is the square root of 4? 2. So according to you, then that would be 10 if you did that. But let me show you. That's not the same thing as doing those things separately. So let me show you an accurate way to handle this, and you do get a different answer. 2. I'm going to show you a different way to do this where you wouldn't combine those. So notice I got 10 by combining them. I'm going to show you get a different answer if you do it the right way. Here we have 3 times what? No.
2.
And 2 plus 6 is 8. That's a different answer. So you can't add a square root number to a non-square root number. That's not allowed. So what I was doing, Denise, was I was explaining why you can't add these with a separate problem to help it make a little more sense, but you can't add them. So there's the rule. All right, let's do another one here. So 1/2, this is number 2. 1/2 x minus 1 squared plus 4 equals what? Okay. I'll use my card this time. Sure. Kimaya, what would I do next?
Do step 1.
True.
Which is
Great. Now there's a half and a 4. I want to get rid of the 4 first. How would I get rid of that one?
You subtract 4 by both sides.
Yep. Thank you. Very good. Nice job. All right. Let's ask Miles, what's next?
1/2 times 2.
Multiply both sides by 2. Good. Thank you. Steve, what's next? Square root. I hear you guys whispering a few an important word, so good for you. You guys are seeing it. What is that? It's an imaginary number. You can't have a negative in the square root, so don't forget about that. So for this one, I'm going to start by doing this, just to that you can't have negatives under square root. It's an imaginary number, right? That's a review topic for us. Now we're going to break down our square root. I'm going to do that on the side here. 12. What times what makes 12? 6 and 2, good. And how about 6? So I've got a 3, a 2, and a 2. Denise, what can we take out of there? Oh, my bad. Thank you. Alondra, what can we take out of the square root? I'm up here. What can we take out of the square root? Not sure? Oops. Brianna, what can we take out of the square root? So for every pair, you can take that number out. So that's what I'm going to replace this square root of 12 with then. All right, now I want you guys, now how would you write this, by the way? That's a good question. There's an I out there already. How do you guys think I'm going to write that? There's an I in the front, and I'm replacing the square root of 12 with 2 radical 3. Well, here's how we usually do it in math. You put the number and then the letter second, so those are the outside numbers, and then the part that's inside the root comes last. That's usually how we write it, so that's how I'll write it. All right. Lily, what's next? Two equations. X minus 1 is equal to a positive 2i root 3. And you could leave the plus there if you want. And x minus 1 is equal to a negative 2i root 3. Now for both of these, we're going to add 1. See if you guys can write what the answer should look like, though. So, Crystal, how do you think we would write this answer, this one here?
X equals 1 plus I.
Very good. That's right. You can't actually add the 1 to anything because that 2 has a square root with it, and you can't combine them. Alonzo, how do you think we might write this other one over here? Good. And then the positive 1 there, we're going to put it in the front just like that. So it's 1 minus 2y root 3. All right, so you guys have the last student practice now, student practice 2. Go ahead and try those 2, and then when we're done with that, we'll put our answers up. And that should close us out for the day. So the purpose of this problem set was to show you sometimes the square roots aren't nice. Okay, so you have to break them apart using that older method. Also, we were reminded of when you have a negative under the square root, that makes an imaginary number. Oh yeah, yeah, it can be on either side. Oh no, the highway.
Oh.
Yeah, the 4 is a nice square root. Square root of 4 is 2. Yeah, you're right. So, yeah. And so, but we can do the square root now. But yeah, you are right so far. And don't forget the plus and minus. And usually whenever you have a letter and a number like that, make sure you put the number in front, so it'll be 2i. So plus and minus 2i. Well, so put a square root on it. You got an I there, right? And also, you got a nice perfect square root, so you don't have to do the weird box and everything, but you still have an I.
Right?
And don't forget your plus.
My mom woke me out of my slumber. Oh my god.
Yeah. When there's nothing in the root.
I know. I had to put it over.
Yeah, that looks good.
I will tomorrow.
Wait, what time was it?
It was about. Yeah, I'm right. She was being nice this whole weekend. She didn't care. I know. It's all on me. Like the clothes are still wet. What do you want me to pull them? They're still wet.
Was like 30. So I got the plus and negative sign.
Yeah, no,
X equals plus or negative 4 plus 2i.
yeah, I was up like 5.
I don't want to say the rest.
Like I barely slept.
That's like, I'm pretty sure.
And I am on at 5 o'clock. I made 1, and then at 5:30 I made 2. And then at 6.
I'm not sure if that's
I like it.
Dude, I thought it would be plus.
No, it's not.
There's nothing to add on this one, but you still get a plus.
I mean, you did it. Have you heard of
Do you not already set that?
no. Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Not the way I made it.
No, you make it the way you make it anyway. So don't mind.
No, it's not.
Don't forget your plus and minus.
Okay.
Is it awkward? Yeah, this is. I don't know. This is because I've always been a dog park. And I saw a whole bunch of people like you and I just had it with.
I'm good.
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
Yeah.
Twice. I've had a few students that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a while. I'm having trouble seeing her face. Okay, is that her cafe? Or is that named after her mom or something?
Everybody's so good.
Really?
Guys, it's cool.
Are you related to somebody?
Would you like it every single
Are you
person
active?
grows like, oh,
I'm about to look her up. What, how old is she? Just said.
So,
I like it. I'll look her up. I do like you. I'll write it. Go what? Judge? Yeah. I know what college you are. Oh, no, I saw it. It's like, I want to it's not wrong. Yeah, I got your notes. You had it. All right. Let me see if we have time, we can put the answers up. All right. Amaya, what did you get for number 1?
hold on.
Oh, you put it away.
I think I only did number 2, but I can't see it.
What'd you get for that?
I got 2, then 6, and then equals x, and then -2 and 6.
Would you like to put your answer up? Thank
Just
you.
the answer of the entire thing.
If you could show the work, that'd be helpful, please. Armani, what'd you get for 1?
I got x equals positive or negative 4.
Hey, what time is it? It's 9:36.
You are. What time have you got? 42, right? Yeah, you're close. I think that's how you wrote your final answers wrong. So if you can put it up there, and then I'll make the quick little correction when you're done, because you got most of it right. I think you just put the plus and the minus on the 4 instead of the 2i. Oh, poo. Well, Aaliyah, you gonna dress up for Halloween?
What?
You gonna dress up for Halloween?
Am I gonna dress up for Halloween?
My family doesn't really celebrate Halloween, so I don't know what Halloween's Okay.
Armani, are you dressing up for Halloween?
Nah.
Guys, too grown up, huh?
Mr. Bailey, do you want to see my Halloween costume?
You gonna do it?
I already bought it.
You have it on you, or you gonna laugh?
I got it from Red.
You're in my family, I want to like family. Oh, that's cool.
We're working on our story.
Are you gonna bring it to school?
I think so. But I think we're watching.
That's cool. You're all like,
Steven, do you want to see for your final?
yeah, so I like it. I think there's some minors for
That's
it.
right.
Oh.
Um,
Debate.
Oh yeah, hold on.
so you can add the 4 over.
Why are you?
Oh, I got it.
And when you add the 4 over, you get a plus 2 right minus 2.
Yes.
What?
All right, guys, so the answers are up here if you want to check your work for comparison purposes.